In the heart of Manila, where jeepneys honked, vendors shouted, and high-rises cast long shadows over crowded streets, a 23-year-old Filipino environmental engineer named Leona Reyes walked through mountains of trash that most people tried not to see. The smell of rotting garbage mixed with exhaust fumes burned her lungs. But she didn't cover her nose. She inhaled it like a challenge. Leona had grown up in Baseco, one of Manila's most polluted coastal communities. As a child, she played beside piles of plastic bottles and styrofoam washed in by the tide. Her father was a garbage collector who came home every night with his clothes soaked in leachate and sweat. Her mother ran a tiny sari store, selling snacks wrapped in sachets that would eventually end up right back on the street. Anak, her father used to say, patting her hair with a gloved hand, "I don't want you to live in trash the way I did. You're going to fix this one day." At the time, she laughed. How could one person fix a city drowning in waste? Years later, Leona had a civil engineering degree and a specialization in environmental systems. She'd studied waste management models from Singapore, Japan, Europe. She'd seen slideshows of spotless streets, efficient underground vacuum systems, and advanced incineration plants. But every time Manila was compared to those cities, the tone was the same: disgust, mockery, embarrassment. The final straw came when a popular Singaporean influencer released a viral video titled, "Why Manila is Asia's Dirtiest City." In the video, he walked through crowded Manila streets, zooming in dramatically on floating trash in nestles, overflowing bins, and smoky dump sites. "This," he said, "is why we can't be like them." The video racked up millions of views and thousands of comments mocking Manila and the Philippines as dirty and disciplined and hopeless. The clip burned into Leona's brain. She watched it once, twice, a third time. Shame flushed through her, but behind it came anger and then something even stronger: resolve. "You want to see what Filipinos can do?" she whispered to the screen. "Fine. Watch." Leona knew the usual answers: centralized landfills, expensive incineration plants, imported technology. The problem was money. Manila didn't have billions to spare, but it did have something else in abundance: coconuts. Everywhere from Quezon City to Quezon Province, coconut husks piled up behind markets, in farms and in back alleys. Farmers treated them as waste. Vendors tossed them aside after selling Buco juice to Leona. Each husk was a tiny, overlooked power plant. Coconut husks are rich in lignin and cellulose. Processed correctly, they could be turned into high-energy briquettes or biochar, both capable of generating heat and electricity. Leona started to imagine a system where Manila's trash didn't just disappear, it became fuel. Not in some distant foreign plant, but in small, decentralized micro-power hubs scattered across the city, especially in poor, trash-choked communities. She quit her comfortable engineering consultancy job of choice her mother called Calicoan and set up shop in a borrowed warehouse near the Pasig River. The rent was cheap because the smell outside was awful. Perfect, she thought. She called her project Linis Grid, localized integrated nutrient and energy system. But to everyone else, she just called it Project Linis. She started with 3 streams: organic waste, food scraps, yard clippings, spoiled produce from pellets, plastics and non-organics, sorted, shredded, and compacted for resale or controlled processing. Coconut husks, ground, dried, and compressed into fuel blocks. The idea was simple. Barangays would collect and sort waste at source. Organics would feed biodigesters producing biogas for local cooking or electricity. Coconuts would be turned into high-efficiency fuel blocks burned in clean. Small-scale generators designed to capture emissions safely. plastics and metals would be diverted into recycling streams with better bargaining power once grouped at scale. But simple on paper doesn't mean easy in real life. Leona had no government contract, no foreign investors, just a small seed grant from a local foundation and a few volunteers from Baseco. So she did what Filipinos do best. She hustled, negotiated, charmed, and explained. She met barangay captains one by one. Most scoffed. We tried cleanup drives. People always throw trash again. They said, sorting. Our residents won't follow. But Leona didn't just come with PowerPoint slides, she came with prototypes. She showed them a small coconut husk fuel block burning cleanly in a simple stove, producing almost no visible smoke. She showed them a portable generator powering light bulbs and a fan, fueled entirely by waste their barangay was already drowning in. She made a promise. Give me one pilot street, she said. If it doesn't become cleaner in 3 months, I walk away. No questions asked. The first barangay to say yes was her own, in Baseco. She went house to house, explaining the color-coded bin she distributed. Green for food scraps, blue for recyclables, brown for coconut husks and yard waste. At first, residents were confused. But when she told them she would pay a small stipend for every kilo of properly sorted coconut husks, eyes lit up. Within a week, husks from Halo stores, Buco carts, and cremderias came rolling in. Kids dragged sacks of them, competing for who could bring the most. Leona's warehouse filled up fast. With a small homemade grinder powered by a refurbished motor, she ground the husks into fibers and dust. She mixed them with a natural binder made from cassava and pressed them into dents. Brick-like blocks, dried in the sun, each block burned for hours. Next, she installed her first Linis hub in a vacant plot near the barangay hall, a simple shelter housing a biodigested tank, a bank of batteries, and a compact generator designed for her coconut blocks. When neighbors saw the system powered, lights, fans, and a few charging stations for phones and radios, they began to understand their trash had value. As Baseco's pilot area got cleaner, something unexpected happened. The smell changed. The constant reek of rotting garbage faded, replaced by the earthy scent of drying coconut and compost. Flies decreased. So did rats. Kids had more space to play. The estero, once clogged with floating plastic, began to clear as residents realized every bottle or wrapper they kept out of the water was money saved or earned. A local news team covered the story. Filipino engineer turns Manila trash into power using coconut husks. The segment aired on evening TV. People across the country saw Leona's bright eyes, stained jeans, and determined voice. Most were proud. Some were skeptical. A few mocked her in the comments, saying it would never scale. Singapore saw it too. A month later, a Singaporean environmental vlogger famous for his sweeping, clean city shots returned to Manila for a follow-up video. His older, viral post mocking Manila's dirtiness was still circulating, only this time. When he arrived in Baseco, he didn't find the same chaos he remembered. Instead, he saw organized waste stations. He saw neighbors lining up to turn in sorted trash, receiving small payments loaded on digital wallets. He saw kids studying under bright LED lights at a community center powered entirely by coconut fuel and biogas. He saw the estro surface still not perfect, but no longer choked with endless floating junk. He filmed everything. His tone, once condescending, was softer. Last time, I came here to show the world how dirty Manila was, he said to the camera. But I think I owe this city and this country an update. His new video compared Singapore's high-tech, billion-dollar systems with a scrappy but ingenious solution. Singapore uses underground vacuum tubes and large-scale incinerators. He explained over shots of pristine streets. Manila has a Filipino engineer using coconuts and community effort. Different scales, but the heartbeat is the same, finding ways to take responsibility for waste. The clip went viral. But this time, the comments were different. Respect to the Filipino engineer. This is sustainability with soul. Whoever she is, she's the future. Soon, international media followed. A major Asian magazine featured Leon on its cover. The woman cleaning Manila with coconuts. Interviews flooded in. She spoke not as a polished politician, but as a tired but passionate worker who knew every corner of the communities she served. "We're not trying to copy Singapore," she said in one interview. "We're building something Filipino based on what we have, how we live, and what our people can maintain on their own." With growing attention came support. A coalition of local governments signed on to expand Project Linis to 10 more barangays. A tech company donated better grinders and pressers. A Philippine university partnered with her to refine emissions capture so the small generators stayed clean and safe at scale. But with attention came criticism, too. Some powerful stakeholders in the traditional waste hauling and landfill businesses saw her as a threat. They accused her of destabilizing existing systems. Anonymous articles questioned the safety of her generators, even though emission tests showed them cleaner than open-burning or diesel generators. Then came a harsher blow from overseas. At a regional environmental summit in Kuala Lumpur, a Singaporean delegate speaking on a panel about urban cleanliness casually remarked, "We support all attempts at waste innovation, but we must be realistic, informed. Small-scale experiments in cities like Manila are not comparable to structured national policies like ours. There is a reason Manila remains one of Southeast Asia's dirtiest capitals." The quote made its way back home. Headlines screamed, "Singapore official says Manila still dirty despite efforts." Social media fueled. Some Filipinos felt humiliated again. Others tagged Liana by name. "Ano na, it. Worth it, Bob. Prove them wrong." Liana watched the clickbait at night in her warehouse, the glow of her laptop reflecting off stacks of coconut blocks. She felt tired down to her bones. She'd worked 18-hour days for months. She'd missed family gatherings. She'd gone deeper into debt, reinvesting every peso back into the system. Then she replayed the clip, and instead of hurt, she felt something else, clarity. They didn't think Manila could ever be clean. Fine. She would show them what a truly Filipino solution could do, not with speeches, but with data. Over the next year, Project Linis exploded. 30 barangays signed on. Then 50. Schools added waste segregation and basic bioenergy lessons to their curriculum. Tricycle drivers started side hustles collecting husks and sorted organics for extra income. Junk shops partnered with Linis hubs to divert materials more efficiently. Slowly, Manila's visible waste began to shrink, not everywhere, not overnight, but undeniably. Key metrics changed. In pilot zones, daily garbage truck volume dropped by more than half. Street-side piles shrank. Flooding spots cleared faster because drains weren't as clogged with plastic. Households reported lower electricity bills when they could access Linis-powered community hubs. Even crime statistics dipped in some areas as more residents participated in waste-for-credit programs that allowed them to exchange properly sorted trash for a food, phone loan, or bill discounts. An independent environmental NGO, skeptical at first, conducted a study comparing Project Linis barangays with control areas. The results shocked them. Air quality in Linis zones improved by measurable percentages. Surface garbage around waterways dropped dramatically. Community satisfaction soared. The NGO published a report titled "From Dirty to Dignified: How a Community-Centered Waste-to-Energy System is Transforming Manila." It went global. This time, Liana didn't wait to be quoted. She was invited to the same regional summit where Manila had been dismissed. She walked onto the stage with a flash drive, a worn-out pair of work boots, and a quiet fire in her eyes. Her presentation was simple. First, she showed before photos heaps of trash, black water, kids playing beside smoke belching piles. Then, after photos from the same angles color-coded ones, coconut block stacks, kids reading under solar-powered lights. She laid out numbers, tons of waste diverted, kilowatt hours generated, households reached. Then came the slide everyone remembered, a map comparing key litter and pollution indicators between central Manila and several Southeast Asian cities, including Singapore. For the first time ever, certain metrics in Linis barangays matched or even beat established clean cities, especially in plastic leakage into waterways. "I'm not here to say we're better," Liana said calmly. "I'm here to say we were called hopeless, dirty, and disciplined. But when you give people tools they can own, systems they can understand, and dignity instead of shame, they do incredible things." She paused, then looked directly at the panel where the Singaporean delegate sat, somewhat stiff. "Cleanliness is not a personality trait reserved for rich nations," she continued. "It's a choice and an opportunity. Manila is changing, and we invite you to learn from us. Just as we learned from you." The room was silent. Then, slowly, applause began. It spread, growing louder, until even the skeptical delegates stood. The Singaporean official approached her afterward, extending a hand. "Miss Reyes," he said, "I think we owe your city an apology and perhaps a visit." Months later, a Singaporean technical team toured Manila's Linis hubs. They watched as residents explained their own systems with pride. They saw coconut husks turned into power on a scale they had never considered. They took notes, asked questions, and in a press conference, the head of the delegation said, "We came to share. We leave having learned." Global media now framed Manila not as Asia's dirtiest city, but as the world's most surprising cleanup story. Documentaries were made. Other nations with limited budgets and big trash problems reached out, instead of copying rich, centralized models. They wanted Manila's version decentralized, affordable, rooted in community, powered by coconuts and cooperation. Liana, who once walked those trash-filled streets as a child, now walked them as their architect of transformation. Yet she remained in her warehouse, still in stained jeans, still checking the grinders, still reminding kids, color coding. Green, blue, brown. One evening, she sat with her father on a bench overlooking a now cleaner stretch of shoreline. The sunset painted the sky orange and gold. A few plastic wrappers still floated here, and there. It wasn't perfect, but it was unrecognizably better. Her father nudged her. "Anik," he said softly, "remember when I said you'd fix this one day?" She smiled. "I didn't fix it, Pa. We did." He nodded, eyes misty. "The world used to show us only our dirt." He murmured, "Now they see our strength. So the next time someone mocks Manila as too dirty, remember this story. Remember that change doesn't always start in spotless boardrooms or giant air-conditioned offices. Sometimes it starts with a Filipina in worn-out boots, standing in the middle of a dump site, daring to say, "Hindi na, hanggang dito na lang ang basura." From now on, Basura becomes power. If this story inspired you, hit like, share it with every Filipino who needs to hear it, and subscribe for daily stories that prove what our people can do. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas. Mabuhay ang bawat Pilipinong runong maglinis hindi lang ang kulsura, kundi ang kinabukasan.